Well, hey there, how you doing? Dave Fennoy here, and it's another Ask Dave Fennoy Anything because, well, it's Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, and I hope you've been having a great week so far, as they call it, Hump Day. Getting over the hump and heading for the weekend, and this is going to be, of course, Valentine's weekend. So if you haven't already gotten that something for the one you love, don't wait too long. I want to say hello to folks who are popping by. Alex Wood, how you doing, man? What's up? Well, wow, seems like we're getting off to a slow start today. Um, but I want to talk about a few things once people get here. If you notice, I have set up some of the hardware that I've won in the past few years. The one in the middle a long time ago. These last two over the last couple of years are sitting there. There's some more back on the shelf there. And, it's interesting. When I got into voiceover as a career, all I was looking to do was work. I had found something that I enjoyed doing, that I was interested in, that I thought was going to be a good transition from being a radio personality. I'd been doing radio in the San Francisco Bay Area for a few years under the name Billy David Ocean. Ooh, yeah, it still hurts to say it. At KDIA and KSOL, a couple of legendary stations in that town. KDIA had been the long time AM radio station, R&B radio station, and KSOL was a perennial number one music station in the Bay Area as an R&B station, and I did mornings at both of those stations. But I realized that at some point I was not going to want to spin records for teeny boppers anymore, and voiceover presented itself. And I know we all have a story. I'm telling a little bit of mine, well, for a couple reasons. One, we're getting a slow start on people showing up. But two, people always have the feeling when you're at a certain position in your career that somehow maybe you've always been there. They might know intellectually that, no, you haven't always been at the top or close to the top, that you had to work your way up from something. But sometimes it's hard for them to imagine being in the position you are. Something wonderful must have happened for you that you're there and you've been there for a while. And I'm here to tell you that it was belief in self and hard work and some natural talent and gifts that God gave me. And I will just say, if you have been blessed, and I'm not trying to make this a religious thing, but if you have been blessed with certain gifts, use those gifts. Because that which you don't use, you will lose. Let's say hello to some folks. Michael Glover, what's going on? Mukti, how you doing? Jerry Rapp, old buddy happening. Jacqueline, how you doing? Pamela, Gaines, Michael Haskins, hi again. Let's do it. Absolutely. Elliot Sloan, how are you? I'm doing well this evening, Elliot. And my buddy Alex Wood. Speaking of Alex, been working with him on some projects, and he got in touch with me today and told me about a project he was working on that required no words. It was all emoting. He was playing a mute who could make sounds but could not talk. And I want you to imagine what that must be like, to have to invent that much of what should be dialogue but is not. All you've gotten is, what this character might be saying, what this character might be feeling. And it takes some skill and sensitivity, and it kind of reminds me of an exercise I do with students from time to time, which is hold conversations without words, as if you are some creature from another place, and you have to communicate what you're thinking, what you're feeling. communicate things that are happy, communicate things that are sad, tell a joke, tell a story, and see what people think you're saying as opposed to what you're actually saying. And so often, people are so busy with the words, and I'm going to say the words wonderfully and beautifully, and have you fall in love with my voice and the clarity of what I'm saying. And the truth of the matter, that's not what we actually respond to. What we actually respond to is someone's mind and heart touching our minds and hearts. So no matter how beautiful your voice or how weird your voice is or how quirky or how damaged or how, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Can you touch people here and here? Stop worrying about the words and worry about revealing the thoughts and feelings of the character you're playing. All right. Hey, Diane, what you going? Lisa Tillis, how are you? Brian, Derek, John Moody. A couple of notes on things coming up. Let's see. Get Your Game On is coming to Los Angeles. It is a conference with all things video games. Director Tom Keegan will be there. Director Andrea Toyas will be there. Director Mark Estale will be there. Director and actor J.B. Blanc will be there. Victoria Atkin will be there. And I will be there. We have a lot of panels on Friday. On Saturday, I will be teaching a 2-day workshop. I just call it voice acting for video games. On the poster, it's character development. But I've been teaching this course, the course I developed a number of years ago because there wasn't anything like it. And video games are different than animation. The acting style is more like movies, television, or on stage, as opposed to the wackiness of most animation. Doesn't mean there isn't some crossover, but we tend to lean in a little different direction with video games. And I have taught this workshop in London 5 or 6 times, in Los Angeles a few times, in Atlanta, in Dallas, in Seattle, in San Francisco, in Sausalito, in Las Vegas, in Bogota, Colombia, remotely to several cities around the world and Australia. And the feedback I get is that people learn something and become better voice actors. And I'm not saying that to say there's a difference between voice acting and what people will say that makes me grit my teeth. Regular acting or real acting, it's the same thing, but just like if you're on stage, you'll have to, there's certain techniques you have to use on stage that you don't have to use on camera, and vice versa. If you're on camera, your face can be stiller because the camera can get so close. If you're on stage, everything has to be a little bigger because there are people in the back that can't see you unless you're bigger. The idea of a stage whisper, it's a whisper that's loud because people in the back have to hear you. Well, we have some particular challenges in bringing characters to life in voiceover when we're not in costume, when we haven't memorized the script, when we don't have another actor to bounce our energy off of. And far too often we're paying way too much attention to the words. And I teach actors how to give the words everything they need and nothing more, and bring a sense of inner dialogue and motion to what they're saying. So there are some spaces available if you are interested. Well, you can go right under here on Facebook. You can find what you might click on to take the course. Also, don't want you to forget that VO Atlanta is coming up. And one of my favorite voice actors, proud to call him a friend, Rob Paulson, will be the keynote speaker. Rob has done so much animation, so many commercials. One of the Animaniacs, and on and on and on and on and on and on. And if you are planning to go to VO Atlanta, don't miss his keynote speech. There's much to learn. He's also one of the nicest people you'll ever want to meet. Okay. With that, let's start getting some questions. Let's see. Michael Glover, the 416 is a great mic. However, I just ordered the AKG C747 shotgun. I will keep you posted. I don't think you're going to go wrong with that microphone. AKG is one of the legendary microphone companies. And not that I have, excuse me, not that I have experienced the AKG C747. Sounds like a plane, doesn't it? Yeah, I was flying the 747. It was a shotgun microphone. Wait a minute. But they are known for great mics. Their C414 is a legendary mic. Their C214, which is a less expensive version that doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the 414, is also a very, very, very good mic. So I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. Question though, Michael, how much did that cost? What did you have to pay for that C747 V11? Jerry Rapp, am I coming to Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City? Well, I have not been invited. So at this point, no. I'd ask when is it, and if there are fans in Kansas City that would like to see me there, they should get in touch with the producers and say, hey, we'd like to get Lee Everett here. We'd like to get Vol'jin here. We'd like to get General Pong Krell here. We'd like to get Keegan here. We'd like to get some of the characters I've played over the years. Linda Carrillo, how you doing? Mark Rao, what's up, man? I was just working in your studio for a couple of days on a game. And, of course, you're never there when I'm there. We never get to get that cup of coffee. But high praise to A, your studio, and B, you, my brother. And it was a very interesting gig. This was a job that was kind of like anime. Only when we're talking anime, we are specifically talking about replacing Japanese voices in a style of cartoon. Well, this was a Korean mobile game, very much in the anime style, and if you don't speak Japanese or know the difference that much, you wouldn't know. But this was a video game where we were replacing the dialogue of the Korean actors with American actors, and one of the things you learn when you're doing anime or this kind of dialogue replacement, which is happening more and more for English speakers, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a moment, is that not only do you have to be an artist, but you have to be a technician. Sometimes you are, leaning more into the technical part as opposed to the artistic part. You got to bring the art because you have to bring the good acting, but sometimes it's as simple as, oh, you went 3 seconds on that sigh. We need it to go 2 seconds. Oh, your dying there took too long, or it needs to take half a second longer. And it's, once you can do it, once you kind of get that clock in your head, it's great. Sometimes you may feel like, gosh, I just like a juicy part that I can just bring my own timing and tempo to the job, but that's not every job. Sometimes your job is to bring the feeling out in this amount of time. It's just the nature of the business. Anyway, fun gig. It's going to be out, I think, in May. And I noticed on the roster, a lot of fine voice actors are working on it. Michael Haskins, is there more projection in performing for video games versus the live stage? Is there more? Sometimes I say various genres of voiceover live in different size boxes. Like if you're doing movie trailers, everything is here. You're doing everything in this place. You're not being loud. So it's a very small box. Video games is a really large box. You can go from very, very small to very, very big. Depending on the game you're in, lots of shouting, screaming. If you're playing the battle games, there's a lot of that. Those are the games that can damage your voice, or at least for a few days. So yeah, you can push it out there a lot more than on stage. And my suspicion is that more often in a video game, you're going to have to project more in scenes like that than you're going to have to on stage. Now, on stage, you can't get as small as you can get in a video game. You might be in a video game and you're whispering because you don't want the enemy or the creature over there to find you. And how dare you? I'm having an argument with you, but the monsters are right around the corner, so I got to do this quietly. You don't get to be that quiet on stage. So there can be more projection in video games than necessarily on stage. But on stage, everything is probably more projected than on camera. Sylvia Horlocker, my old neighbor, how are you? Keep selling those houses. Zeke Alton, how you doing? Michael Haskins, I guess you answered that, LOL. Richard Middleton, $700, $699 for what we were talking about. Michael's AKG C747 V11. Be great to do a mic shootout with that and a 416. And that is a very good price. That is about the absolute rock bottom sales price of the 416, maybe $100 more. I've seen the 416 go on sale about once a year for about $600, and then they fly out the door. Are there any new genres on the rise in voiceover? Probably the biggest genres on the rise in voiceover have to do with narration. Speaking of which, next weekend I'll be in Sausalito at Voice Track San Francisco teaching a workshop on narration. The vast majority of opportunity in voiceover now is in narration of one sort or another. We have explainer videos on YouTube. We have corporate narration for various kinds of things, for their sales meetings, for their training. You have e-learning, which is narration to teach people, and that might be adults, it might be children. Audiobooks is huge. As a matter of fact, that is the biggest open door to voiceover now. And as you've heard me say many times, I've voiced 3 books and hope to never do a 4th, except I keep ending up doing them. As a matter of fact, one of those trophies is for narrating an audiobook. It's not something I like to do. My attention span isn't that long. And this is a job, as my good buddy and audiobook narrator God would say, Scott Brick would say, audiobooks aren't for you unless you like being in a closet 8 hours a day by yourself reading a book. And that's not me. I often tell the story of doing promos for ABC. I came in and handed me the script. Hey, it's one word. Boom. I said, next. Good, you're done. Get out of here. 2 weeks later, I had a check for $5,000 because they put it on 25 spots. Crazy. You're not going to make that kind of money on audiobooks. But if you enjoy doing it and you're making a decent living, more power to you. Probably the most lucrative thing you can do is be a network promo voice, which I've had the joy of being from time to time. I don't happen to be one at the moment. Maybe my turn will come around again, maybe not. But I enjoy all the things I've been doing, probably enjoying the least audiobooks. And the reason I did the audiobook, which one of these is that? Oh, yeah. This was for audiobook narration history, best voiceover for March, book 3, by Congressman John Lewis. I got to play John Lewis and all the civil rights leaders from the 60s and all the racists from the 60s and John F. Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy, telling the story through John Lewis's eyes of the civil rights movement of the 60s. It was the subject matter that brought me to agreeing to do that. And even more weird, since I don't like doing audiobooks, I did it for free. Okay, Fennoy, you make no sense sometimes. Alex Wood, do you ever work off the card or do you strictly do union work? You know, it depends on the kind of thing. There are some projects that don't fall under the purview of the union. This project, for instance, did not fall under the purview of the union. There are some things that I will do for friends who are trying to get something off the ground. If it's a charity type thing, yeah. If you're doing something and you're making money, then I should get my little share of it too. But for the most part, I stick with the union. But there are things outside of the purview of the union that from time to time I do. Okay, Long John, Evan Richards, how you doing? Dave Padilla, legendary newsman. When I was disc jockey at KSOL, he was my news guy, and we've been friends ever since. Love you, Dave. Isabella Tugman, what's going on? Let's see, you have a question. Have you ever heard of anybody doing well with a royalty share agreement on ACX? I hope somebody has. One of the books I did as a royalty share. It said, well, I'm going to get a percentage of the book as opposed to getting the, $75 to $150 an hour, whatever it was. And it was a nice, hefty percentage. And I have continued to make money from this book, but it's been like $50 a quarter over several years. Now, they did give me a nice upfront payment. And if I added it all up, and depending on if the book continues to sell, not that much money and trickling in slowly. So I don't think those deals are often as good as you think they might be. Unless you have a wonderful reputation as an audiobook narrator. If Scott Brick were doing it, I'm sure they'd be paying him more than they would have paid me. And he is in a position where the audiobooks that he narrates often are some of the most in-demand books that people want to hear. And I think that's one of the things that happens when you're, very good at it, enjoy doing it, and because you're doing it all the time, you have developed a relationship with the publishers, the audiobook publishers, and they are seeking you out for their work, and your lifestyle, your work lifestyle, is set up to crank those books out quickly. Alex Wood, yeah, a lot of people do great with royalty share. Okay, good. Hey, great answer. DM me. I'll help you with some tips. I'm not trying to get where I'm getting good royalty shares on audiobooks, but I will DM you. And I tell you why, because there's some people listening that may want to know that. So I will DM you, and maybe next week we'll talk a little bit about royalty share for audiobooks. Once again, one of the things I love about doing Ask Dave Fennoy Anything is sometimes you're giving me answers and giving the people who are checking it out answers. So much appreciated there. Joyce E. Rutledge. How are you, old college buddy? Good to see you there. Hope to see you again. Sam A. Mowry joined. T.C. Tompkins. What's up, cuz? This is Old Home Week. Lila, how you doing? Great talent. Sometimes people come to town and they know me, they know who I am. They'll, give a call, get in touch, and, oh, gee, can I have lunch with you? And, kind of pick your brain. And Lila Berzins did that, several years ago. And I remember then thinking, oh, you're going to do just fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. And she is doing just fine. Keep doing what you're doing. Priscilla, how are you doing? Digging the beard, Dave. Oh, hope all's well. Thanks, Lyle. I appreciate it. Tyrone Du Bois, our friend Dave Fennoy. Okay, Priscilla, you're introducing me to someone. Michael Haskins, what? 5,000? Next. Sign me up. I'll tell you, Michael's talking about the story I was telling about saying next. I was doing promos for ABC. That was put on 25 spots, and boom, a couple weeks later, $5,000. Once again, TV promos are probably the most lucrative thing in this business. And if you're one of those people like a Joe Cipriano, the late great Don LaFontaine, some of the people who are working on stations around town right now, you can do very, very, very well. Christina Smith joined. How are you? Brent Mukai. Dave, that beard, though. I love hearing the guy I hired to be in my audiobook talk about how much he hates doing audiobooks. Sorry. And I'm going to put it this way. I don't hate playing characters in audiobooks. I don't hate the fact that audiobooks are there. I think they're a wonderful thing. I don't have the attention span to go day in and day out with audiobooks. It's just me. Donovan, what's going on, man? One of the best voices out there, man, and continued success. Somebody else who I spoke with a few times, heard some of the things. This guy's going to do just fine. And you are doing just fine, aren't you, Donovan? Michael Haskins, no projection on that ABC gig. Okay, Michael. When I bring my C747 to your studio for the shoot out of mics, I have 3 Voice Arts Awards to choose to steal from. Cool. Yeah, you've been telling me you're going to steal one of my awards for years. Marie Hoffman, hey, Marie. Connor Jennings, let's see. Connor Jennings, hi, Dave. Just lurking in the chat so I can pick up some wisdom. Well, I hope I have some to offer you. Mary Claire Garcia, how are you? Another fine talent, and I hope you're working a bunch and that the demo I did for you is working for you still. Brent Mukai, do you know anyone you'd suggest that offers one-on-one privates for promo? There are a number of people that I would suggest, and I tell you what, if you'll DM me, I'll give you several. That's why I love having promos as my main source of work. And you're doing it. I hear you. You're doing well. Now just lock down that network voice, that you are the network guy. Man, it can be sweet. I was a network guy for the WB when it was in existence, or I should say one of them. They had several of us. SoapNet, I was their voice. Did daytime promos for CBS for a long time, a variety of things for ABC, and one-offs with a lot of different places. And, it's great work, and it takes that long. That 30-second promo, and maybe 20 seconds of it is somebody else, or 15 seconds of it is somebody else, and you're reading to copy. We used to go into the studio, into the network stations, and you'd be in a booth. You'd on the other side of the glass, you're looking at the back of them in these cases, and you've got a little screen. You've got your headphones on. You've got a 416 mic pointed at you, and 2 screens, one with picture and one with your script. And you are reading your copy in between the sound effects and the voices of the actors. Tonight on an all-new so-and-so does such and such. And then you get that sound effect. But so-and-so does such and such. And then that person saying something. Will so-and-so do such and such? And somebody else may say, find out tonight at 10 on such and such and so-and-so. And it's great work. It's great work, and it's a lot of fun to do. Luke de Villars. Hola, señor. ¿Cómo está, muchacho? Wait, I thought you were French. I have a strange question. I have this old demo I've been thinking to remove from my demo panel, but strangely, most of my customers love this one, and it has been the best hook on getting clients. I do not understand. It is one of the first. Sound of the voice isn't great. The articulation isn't the best, and there's a creepy music on it. But still today, it's the most listened demo I have, and still works on getting clients. But I really don't like it anymore. What should I do? A modernese mistake out of it? Do a modernese remake of it? I wouldn't make a remake of it because the remake won't have the magic that one has. You know what? If something's working for you, why change it? You might want to add some other demos to what you're doing, but why change that if it's still working? One of the issues people have with demos here in the United States, because you are in France, and the business is very different in Europe, very different. I have some good friend in Egypt, some friends in the Middle East, some friends in the Far East, and the voiceover business is very unique here. We make more money doing it here. Demos cost more here. You are expected to freshen up more here. Quiet as it's kept. We kind of are the center of the cultural world universe. Things that happen here will happen around the rest of the world later on. I mean, we take in a lot from the rest of the world, our food, our language, and so forth, and then we create something with it and send it back out. And sooner or later, the world is dressing like we're dressing. They're speaking like we're speaking. And but if this demo is working, there's an old spot on a demo, for which I'd won an award, by the way, that I kept for years. I kept that thing on my demo for about 20 years. It was for Marine World Africa USA that I had done one of my very first jobs. I had not even come to Los Angeles yet. I was still living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I was still a jock, but I was the voice of Marine World Africa USA, their concert series. And then there was they did a generic promo where they were talking about the animals. You may dream of once in your lifetime traveling to the vast plains of Africa for one encounter with it. I still remember most of the words. Wow, crazy. Well, it won a Jumbo Prawn Award, which was an award. I don't even know if it's still an award. It won a Jumbo Prawn Award in San Francisco, which was an advertising award. I didn't even know that it had been entered because it was entered by the either Marine World Africa USA, but more likely their advertising agency. And some months later, somebody bothered to get in touch with me. Oh, by the way, you won this award for this Marine World Africa USA spot you did. And I had the spot, and it was on my demo for years and years and years. I finally pulled it off, and it's like, well, it's just old. People loved it. I think it got more dated here than perhaps, or people felt it was more dated than probably people are feeling there. One of the things you mentioned as you were saying this, it's one of my first, the sound of the voice isn't great. The articulation isn't the best. One of the biggest problems people have is over-articulating, is overplaying the words. And over-articulating pulls your humanity out of you. Unless, of course, you are that character that over-articulates because that's who they are. Too often we're much more concerned with how we're saying the words than revealing the thought and the feeling of the character that we're playing. And, of course, that goes very deep into video game work and animation work, but it also goes very deep into commercial work. One of the things that we do now is we don't want to listen to that expert. We don't want to listen to that professional voice that tells us that it's too slick. We don't believe it. We want to hear from somebody that reminds us of us, somebody that we feel we can trust. And that means less professional sounding and someone who more connects with us. And one of the things you do that pulls that connection away is to over-articulate. So perhaps there was something in the fact that you were just saying it and not being crisp and clear with everything that you were saying that touched people, and that's why they like it. And you might want to, think about that in other work you're doing. Yeah, Donovan, I'm looking forward to seeing you too. Mike Templeton, what's going on? John Groves, one of my favorite voiceover, followed up by Gabriel Kunda. Boy, we're having all the stars on tonight. Yes, Gabe, how you doing, man? Just, Donovan, Gabriel, just a couple of the hot new black voices. And you guys have honored me from time to time by saying, well, we watched you and, sometimes you're just working. You don't realize that you're touching people's lives, and means a lot, some of the things you've said to me over the years. Brent, thank you. You are welcome. Heather Gonzalez, what's going on? 3 networks and 3 affiliates so far. Now that is good stuff. That is excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Isabella, I keep getting offers to voice romance novels and erotica, but I'm hesitant to accept some more of the risque material. Can voicing this stuff hurt my career reputation later? Well, probably not. And I mean, I think about all the very famous stars in various areas that did a lot of erotica in movies or in music, and it didn't hurt. Sex is with us. It's a part of us. And if you do feel like it's a little more risque, that you feel like you're going to be judged, we have pseudonyms. You could work under another name. I don't think anybody would fault you for that. So I would say if it's work that people feel you can do, because sometimes the business chooses you. You may get into voiceover to do one thing. I think I've mentioned before, I thought I was going to be a Don LaFontaine. I was going to come in and do trailers. I was going to be this guy. You were going to hear me in all these things. And that didn't happen. I've done some trailers, but it's almost like I've done lots of everything else. So if you want to use a pseudonym, go for it. But even if you don't, I don't think it's going to hurt you at all. Marcus Baseman Shepherd, what's going on, man? Michael, did you do the Kraft campaign after Ted Williams? No. And for those of you who don't remember Ted Williams, he was the homeless guy that was a story for a while. And a number of people I know offered him a lot of help. A lot of times we get caught up not so much in actual talent, but we get caught up in story. Ted Williams was a story. He was by the side of the road, and he would say, "Hello, how are you? I've got a great voice. Give me some money." And he had been a disc jockey for a while, and this was the voice he was putting on. Hey, this is my... Well, if you're knocking on the doors to do voiceover, nobody's going to hire you for that. But a homeless guy doing it, wow, now we've got a story. So the cameras rolled, they put him on the news. As we are wont to do from time to time, there was a heart pouring of, hey, let's help this guy. And he ended up getting a Kraft job. He was offered a job to be the booth announcer for a sports team or two, but he wasn't up to it. The drugs had him too much. The people who paid his union dues and put him up in an apartment and helped him, when the money they loaned him, when it came time to pay them back, he wouldn't pay them back. As a matter of fact, he tried to sue them. It was a story, and you'll notice he ain't around no more. I remember feeling a little guilty because I wasn't a supporter of his. I felt like I knew too many people who were working really hard and were better talent and were not going to get the opportunity. Somebody had that craft job before they were fired and it was given to him and he wasn't able to keep it. Am I saying we shouldn't help people who have made some mistakes? And no, I'm not saying that at all. I just wish he had proved me wrong in how I felt about him altogether, because I felt like they're hiring a story. They're not really hiring this guy. This is a feel-good story and did not turn out well in the long run. Mike Templeton, oh man, now I'm investing in what such and such is doing and so on. Yeah, I don't always name the names. Michael Williams joins. How are you? Maurice Scott, what's up, man? Michael Williams, how did you choose your accent for the voice of Vol'jin? Actually, that was chosen for me. They were looking to have island Jamaican accents, man. So, Vol'jin, this is how he came out. And once again, there's a big lesson in that, too. Now, World of Warcraft and Vol'jin, leader of the Horde, this is happening in some other world someplace, but all the voices, all the feelings of all these characters are based on our human feelings and voices that we're familiar with. We couldn't make up something that just didn't exist. And so, especially when you're looking at video games, when you're looking at cartoons and whatnot, it's all based on humanity. I don't care what world, what galaxy you go to, what you're still really trying to do is bring a certain amount of humanity. So this was just happened to be a guy who, he had Jamaican voice, the Horde, that is what they sound like, man. So, no, I didn't choose it. Paul Overacre, what's going on, man? Verna D. Rand, cuz, man, that's my mama's side of the family. Alex, was got to bounce, man. Looking forward to hearing from you later. All right, talk to you. Isabella, I just learned about VoiceAm, which is a sleek demo player for $8 a month. But does it look bad to use free SoundCloud embedded in my website to play demos? No, a lot of people use SoundCloud. A lot of people, when you click on their demo, it takes you to SoundCloud. Just like a lot of people, when you click on a video of maybe TV commercials that are done, it takes you to YouTube or some other video player. It's the nature of the world. You just want to make it easy for them to see that demo and click on it. Where it takes you then to play, not that big ideal. Just don't make them go to a second page to find the demo to play. Nick Carter, what's going on? Luke de Villars, thanks, Dave. So sometimes the imperfection or strong personal touch on a demo can make the demo perfect. That balance requires skills. If you can teach me how to do that, hey, I'll sign up for another lesson right away. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes when I'm teaching somebody, I'll feel like, well, what I'm really trying to teach you is imperfection. What I'm really trying to teach you is not to be quite so precise. I'm really trying to teach you to be as human in your voiceover work as you are as a human being. I liken it to writing letters. Have you ever started to write a letter and suddenly you're using flowery language that you would never use and syntax that isn't natural for you, but you think you have to make this letter much more special, much more elegant than you really are. I think it's the same thing. Sometimes when we get the written word in front of us, we want to do something other than be ourselves. Now, if you can be somebody else, but with a natural sound and feeling, great, because that's what acting for animation is. That's what acting for video games is. That's what acting for commercials is. But you don't want to lose that human touch. We don't have a script in our regular lives. We stumble through words. We have to find words. We do That's not always written in a script. You have to find that humanity in the script. So often we're caught up in thinking about your performance, thinking about, I'm reading this script, I'm thinking about my performance, oh, here comes that word, I'm going to say this here, oh, here's that fast part, oh, there's that line, that's that word that's underlined, oh, they put that in caps, I want to hit that, oh, there's that one's in quotes, so I want to make sure I make that special. And the truth of the matter is, the more that's what you're thinking, the less you're into the character. What's the character thinking? Try to replace your thoughts with the thoughts of the character. Because whenever we're talking to somebody, there's something else going on in our heads. In some of the classes I would talk about inner dialogue. Well, imagine the guy out on a date with the girl, and he's saying, oh, wow, hey, I'm so glad you could come out. You look great, and hope you like the restaurant. You're not a vegan, are you? And meanwhile, he's thinking, damn, she's looking good. I like that low-cut dress. Lord have mercy, girl. I might get lucky tonight. Two different conversations going on. And yes, fellas, she has her own conversation going on. And being only a man, I would not presume to guess what that woman might be thinking. Right back at you, Donovan. And let's see. Michael Glover, sex. So true. I can tell you stories. I'm not sure how you got there, Michael. Maybe it was from the conversation I was having earlier with Isabella, but we'll just move on past that. Michael Williams, did you audition for the voice of Vol'jin, or did Blizzard choose you? Honestly, I was chosen. The part of Vol'jin had been played for several years by one of the owners of the company, and the game had gotten big enough, long enough, and the story writing was getting better and better, and the importance of story was getting better and better. And he called up my agent and he said, you know what? I just want to give this part to Dave Fennoy. So thank you. Because I've been playing that part for about 10 years now. And it's one of the most popular characters that I play. And it gives me great joy every time I get a chance to go in the booth and be the leader of the Horde. For the Horde! Ha ha! Because he doesn't seem like a happy guy. Let's see. Pseudonym. How about Hugh Longfellow? I think, Isabella, that's for you. Jay Bradley, how you doing? Lori Catherine Winkle, Jeff Brown, one of the greatest comedians on the planet that you might not have ever heard of. Great writer, great curmudgeon, loves everybody in a way that might make you think he hates them. But I love you, Jeff. Marcellus Basement Shepherd, best place to find TV promo demo copy. Well, if you're not, if you're willing to work, it's right there on your television every day. You can transcribe promos from television. They're right there. They play them for you all the time. And that would be the easiest way. And we've all have these DVRs, so you can pause it and jot it down, and pause it and jot it down, or type it into your laptop or something. That would probably be the easiest way to do it. Susan Sharif, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Jeff Brown. Rama Rodriguez, man, it's old home week. Speaking of island accents, I recently watched some older computer game playthroughs on YouTube. Loved you in King Quest 6. Oh, man, you're going way back. Michael Williams, hope to see you at a convention in Australia one day. Me too. I hope to see somebody in Australia. Arlene Kelly, what's happening? Eric Batten. Erlene, Eric. Marcel Space Shepherd, check him out. I will do that. It's cool, Dave. I'm just a wannabe. No, well, you know what? Everybody was a wannabe at some point. There was a point when Don LaFontaine was a wannabe. Joe Cipriano was a wannabe. It happens. But, do your thing. Just keep doing your thing. Keep knocking on those doors. Till people used to ask me, say, well, how'd you get into voice? Well, I knocked on the doors till my knuckles were bloody. And then I used the other hand. Michael, actually, I'm a one. Hope to say, okay, Victor Singleton, dig in the beard. Thanks, man. DeAndre Ann Johnson and Victor Singleton joined. And I think we're about down to, wow, it's 6:50 already. This hour went by fast. Guess I ran my mouth a lot. Well, for private lessons, you want to do some work with me? Would love to have you. Just visit davefennoy.com, click on the Study VO tab. Also, I wanted to mention Connection Open. They are doing exciting things, and I am going to start using Connection Open with students. It won't cost you a thing, but it gives me an opportunity to work with people with Connection Open and let you get a chance to find out what it's all about. Couple of reminders, VO Atlanta. Rob Paulson will be the keynote speaker. That's March 26th through the 29th. I highly recommend it. Coming up at the end of this month, Get Your Game On LA. It's being brought to us by the VoiceOver Network out of London. And Rachel Naylor, who runs that show, is just a powerhouse of a person who brings amazing talent to bear. Tom Keegan, who has directed many video games, Andrea Toyas, director for Blizzard, Mark Esdale, who's probably directed more video games than the two of them together, J.B. Blanc, who not only is a great actor, but also a very fine video game director, Victoria Atkin, English voice actress, a lot of video games, and myself. I think Sissy Jones might be there too. If you are interested in being a voice actor in video games, you don't want to miss this. And on Saturday and Sunday, I'll be teaching a workshop. There's still plenty of room. Please sign up. Still plenty of room for Saturday and Sunday. It's very comprehensive. I promise you. You take that workshop with me, you will be a better actor at the end of it. So that said, I will see you when I see you, which will be next Wednesday for sure. Wishing you all the best, and go out and book something. See ya.